Thanks, Kathleen. This question is largely in relation to, obviously the question is to double state investment in childcare by 2028 if the ongoing future funding model and workforce development plan process and the National Childcare Scheme review will inform budgetary allocations for the sector in time for the Budget 2022 announcement. I'm really looking to focus on that issue with the NCS and the after schools, which was the reason for the protest on Tuesday, and also I want to mention something about the workforce as well. Thanks, Minister.
Thanks, Deputy. So first five, the whole of government strategy for babies, children and young people and families, as I said, includes a target to at least double the level of investment in early learning and childcare between 2019 and 2028. And obviously, as I said earlier on, the programme for government commits to achieving that, which would represent a €1 billion investment by per annum by 2028. And obviously, this will represent a very substantial increase in the voted expenditure for this sector, which, as we said, is 638 million this year. And I think that new funding model that I spoke about earlier on will be a key vehicle to ensure that the additional investment delivers those really important returns for children, for families and for the state. And we want to ensure that when we put extra resources into early learning and childcare, that we get the best possible use from them. And as I say, the expert group is independently chaired. It's leading on this issue. It's undertaken a very significant amount of research and also has engaged with the sector and with the various stakeholders within the sector. And I think that's really important. And the emerging findings from the National Child Care Scheme are also contributing to the evidence that underpins its work. So it has very transparent deliberations. They've published, as I said, the research, and that's available for anybody to engage with. The report is being finalised at the moment. It'll be submitted to me in November, and as I say, it is influencing my input into the budget negotiations this year, which are still ongoing. In terms of the NCS and the issues that were raised outside the Dáil earlier this week, you know, and I've engaged with you significantly about this, Deputy, we have brought in some interim changes to broaden out sponsorship, to create a sustainability fund where services are in difficulty. But I've also asked for a separate piece of research in the context of how the NCS worked in its first year to specifically look at its impact on services that are disadvantaged. So look, I am conscious of this issue. We're getting the research to make sure that our responses are properly targeted to dealing with the problems that have emerged.
Thanks, Minister. I'm going to focus this first response in relation to that NCS and the funding where kids are kind of falling through the cracks. And I know I have raised it with you on a number of occasions and acknowledge that you did come out to meet with people on Tuesday as well at that protest. But I suppose, just to give a few practical examples, there are several services, and it's not just my constituency that they're nationwide, where they are saying siblings, for example, are in the old model, and then new kids that are coming into the system now are falling outside of that. So the service is actually trying to make up the difference. I understand about the sponsorship situation, but the vast majority of these cases, people are not going to go to Tusla. They don't want, in general, families don't want to bring that service on themselves, and they're not going to go down that road. And more than likely, if that's said to them, they're just going to pull their child out of the service. So services are stepping up and basically trying through other funding streams, or literally robbing Peter to pay Paul, to try and keep those kids in that system, because they feel really guilty, even though they shouldn't. But they're saying to that child and that family that they might know for years, you know, sorry, we can't take you in. So really, we need something next week in that. Sorry, Carla.
Well, look, the NCS is a really good system, and it's one that I think we can continue to develop and strengthen. There is no doubt that an issue has arisen in terms of services in an area of high disadvantage, but I believe we have to work to fix the issue with the NCS as opposed to going back to some of those old schemes. I think the future is with the NCS, but you're correct, sponsorship isn't the fix. I undertook the broadening of sponsorship to give support to services on the interim on an interim basis. I think that had some element in assisting about 2,000 young people across the country to access services straight away, but it isn't the overall fix, and I accept that. But again, we've an issue has come up, we need to do the piece of research to determine how exactly we can bring about a fix that is long-lasting and ensures that those services, who are often making up the difference themselves in terms of their own resources, to ensure those services are properly resourced going forward.
Yeah, just to say in relation to that, I mean, I think most people would accept if something is not working, you have to have a period of time where you look at fixing it. But this has dragged on, and I think what people are looking for in the interim is that the older funding be kept in place until a solution is found. That way then nobody is paying a price and nobody is disadvantaged, because otherwise you're coming up with a solution potentially when a lot of these children and services may have kind of faced closure point. And just to say as well that on the Children's Committee on Tuesday, one of the points the after schools were making is that they really should be seeing, like, you know, they're not childcare, obviously they're a separate type of situation, they're after schools, and that a new funding stream or funding situation should be looked at for them, and I think that should be considered as part of the review. And I just want to really briefly mention those who work in the sector. Next week we really need to see something in the budget for those early years professionals that, you know, we all know do amazing work. They're on very low wages in really difficult situations, and they need to see something next week to give them hope to stay in this sector. Thanks, Cathleen.
Thanks, sir. Well, as you know, the older funding mechanisms were kept in place for those children who were already on the schemes, but we are looking to move new children coming in onto the new scheme. As I said, and look, you know, as long as I've been in this role, I have been engaging on this issue, and you've raised it, and I give full credit for that. But, you know, I have engaged with the issue. I've met with the services. I've listened to the issues. We've brought in some interim solutions to try and get more children into the scheme, get them the full number of hours. We're undertaking the research, and we'll act on foot of that research. And I think that's the way, because this is an issue that's come up, and I know from engaging with some services, they said they foresaw this, but it's an issue that has arose, and rather than, you know, having a knee-jerk response to it, we want to undertake that piece of research to determine how exactly we can bring a fix for the NCS to ensure that it continues to work effectively for everybody and that no one is left at a disadvantage.